As a male educator at your school site, it can get lonely. Only 23% of K-12 educators in America are male. And just think about what this gender gap means for your male students. They experience disproportionate levels of discipline. This is a show for male educators who want to feel more understood by their community and want to create emotionally safe classrooms and schools for the next generation of male students. Welcome to unMASKing with Male Educators. Welcome to unMASKing with Male Educators. My name is Ashanti Branch, and for those of you that are new here and those of you that are returning, thank you for being here. Today's episode is a conversation around our Young Men's Conference and around what we have seen or are seeing through the data that we've learned through those masks that were made there. So right now, as we are approaching the end of 2025 and moving into 2026, I want to share some words with you. Now, in this conversation, you're going to hear me talk a lot about data, but I want you to know that for me, the data is just words. It's the words I've been asking young men about for the last 21 years and ever forward. How are you doing? Good? What's happening with you? Fine? Oh, nothing's going on? Okay. Well, tell me, why are you failing my class when you're so bright and smart? You see, when I started as a teacher, even though I was a math teacher, I was really connected to young people around words. And the reason I think it's important for us to look at this data right now, the conference was just a month ago. So, I could spend a year on this data, pulling out little nuances and little things, but I think it's important for you to see it because not only is it important for you as educators, parents, community who care about young people, is to see what are young people saying about what they're not saying. What's happening behind the mask? And I think it's important for you to not only know it's happening, but it's happening in front of you in plain sight. Sadly, right here in the Bay Area, a pastor, his son died by suicide. And I may have mentioned that before. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but what we see over and over again is stories of people that said, I had no idea. I had no clue. And not having a clue is because we have gotten good at these masks we wear. And I want to invite you to not be a part of that system that lets people continue, people you care about. Look, there's plenty of people who are going to walk by you, say, hi, how you doing? They say, I'm fine. You keep it moving. You don't even care. You didn't even really ask. But there are people who you ask daily how they're doing. They've told you for the last 4 weeks they're doing great and fine. Your soul tells you something is off, but you don't want to pry. You don't want to be in their business. So you just say, okay, well, you said you're fine. I'm going to just trust you're fine. Look at the last text message you sent out that said, I hope you're doing well. Hey, let me not mess up your hope. Let me not mess up your hope with my reality that life is absolutely chaotic right now. And I invite you to know that that's not just happening with you. It's happening with young people all over the world. So stay tuned for this conversation because I really just want to show some words to you. And there'll be some numbers attached to them. But I think in the simplest way we can say is there are young people who are going through stuff in front of us all day long. And hopefully we can get to the place where we have these healthier conversations. So if nothing else, if you're a parent, if you're an uncle, if you're a cousin, maybe over this New Year's, as we prepare for whatever resolutions you're going to create, you resolve to not letting the people that you love go another day without first knowing that you love them. And know that when they or you ask how you're doing, you actually really mean the question. That's what today is about. I hope it resonates. I hope it connects. And if nothing else, I hope you will make a mask and share it with somebody you do care about. So if you can watch this video, if you can watch this podcast, it'll be really helpful. You can watch it on Spotify or on Apple, or you can just watch it on YouTube. But I think the main thing I want you to know is I'm going to try and describe a lot of the masks to you, like verbally. But some of them is going to be probably important for you to see them, right? So stay tuned for if you're able to, if you're only listening to this right now, just know that there are some visuals that would help to make it make more sense. But Let me walk you through it step by step. On November 8th, we had our second Young Men's Conference. This was the Global Young Men's Conference. And I would love you to hear some voices from some young men who were at the conference. I think their voices will help you see what they got out of the day. And I'm going to just talk about some of the learnings that we had in the Million Mask movement from the day. So let me first let you hear from some of the young men in a reflection piece about their experience at the conference.
My name is Ismael Pena.
Hey, I'm Dana.
My name is Angel. I feel like the people who came out here today maybe at first wasn't really feeling it. Maybe they were forced to come. But after the first session, I could definitely tell that a lot of kids definitely look more happier than stressed, sad.
At today's conference, I learned that a lot of the people here are just really here to help you succeed.
I say one thing that I learned, be yourself is a power that a lot of people are afraid to show.
For me, this means letting go of grief, regret, and just mistakes I've made.
And one of my biggest takeaways is that you can't get in your own way. You have to be willing to change, accept advice, and use resources if they're available to you.
Let yourself be who you want to be without caring about other people's opinion.
I know this was going to be amazing, but I didn't think it would take so much off my mind and let go of so many memories and regret that I had deep inside of me. I just love that. This place is amazing.
Man, what an amazing video. Like, did you hear the voices? Did you hear their excitement? Did you hear the fun and the learnings that they took away with them from this conference? And we're super excited as we begin looking forward to the conference in 2026. We're already building partnerships and connections that we're really excited to be sharing throughout the year. So stay tuned for that. I think that what I heard those young men say and what they described was what we see in masks with young people all over the world. Definitely all over the Bay Area, definitely all over the country. And so I'm going to share a few masks with you that I want you just to see because I think it will help to just see the words that they wrote. And when I talk about the data from the words, I think it will make more sense. So this first mask, a 15-year-old male from Oakland. The front of the mask says, my interest in tech. So remember, for context, the front of the mask are the things they gladly let the world see. The back of the mask, the things they don't usually talk about, let people see. And those are the only 3 steps. And then anything they want to share about themselves, age, city, and gender. And so that's the context of the card. And I'm going to share a few of them with you. So the first one, very interesting picture, kind of a somber looking face, kind of shaded in, long, kind of slender face. The person actually drew the back of the mask as well, which they don't have to do, but it was really creative that they did. And it says, my interest in tech, our good sides, and I'm talkative. That's the 3 things they let the world see about them. And on the back of their mask, the 15-year-old male from Oakland, it says, our experiences. I don't let people see our experiences, our insecurities, our burdens, trauma. And so when he answered this question, I think he sounded like he connected it to the collective you. Like, what do you all, because he used that word our there, which is very interesting. And so that's the first one. I'll show you the second one that stood out to me. A very simple drawing, but I think it's powerful, the words. An 18-year-old male from San Francisco. On the outside of the mask, the front of the mask, kind, athletic, empathetic, the things that he gladly lets the world see, and the things that he doesn't talk about, doesn't let people see. Think it's never good enough, self-doubt, overthinker, always in my head. How powerful these words. Thank you for taking off your mask, young man. I'm going to share 2 more, and I think hopefully bring some context of what we're going to see when we see this data. Sometimes students will be asked to write only 3 things on the front, 3 things on the back. Sometimes they write 1 word. Sometimes they write a sentence, and this one is several sentences. So let me read these. The 17-year-old male from Oakland, the front of the mask says, I usually let people see that I'm good always. I don't want people to worry about me. Kind, friendly. And on the back of the mask, they wrote another sentence. I don't let people see that I'm having a bad day because I don't want them to be worried. And them starting to have a long conversation. Like I don't want you to have a long conversation with me. I'm gonna just say I'm good. I'm not gonna let you see I'm having a bad day because I don't want you to be talking to me. I don't want you to be worrying. And then he wrote sad problems, having bad days, the things he doesn't let people see. So this young man really wrote a narrative about his experience. This next one is a 13-year-old male from Richmond, which is right here in the Bay Area. The front of the mask are things that he gladly lets the world see. That I love sports. I like to make other people laugh. I make sure other people are okay over me. Beautiful. And the back of the mask, the things that he doesn't let people see. 1, I battle with depression. 2, music is the only thing that can make me feel better. And 3, I feel I don't belong. And they drew a face on the back of the mask with a straight line, no smile. And so imagine these young men came to this conference. The morning session was to hear from some speakers. They then made their masks, and then we jumped into the workshops in the afternoon. This was what they did before the speakers began. And one of the things I'm really excited about is that these young men had an opportunity to take off that mask, that proverbial mask of what they always let the world see. And so those 4 masks, and there's dozens of them that are even more, not say more, that are also as powerful and as creative and as heartfelt. But those are the 4 that I wanted to just start with. And I think the next part that I want you to see is some of the data that we have looked at with these young men. And I think that when I think about data, for us, it's just words. We're taking words and we're trying to just understand what is happening with our young men in our schools. What are they carrying? What are the battles that they're facing? And this is really important for this next season in the Million Mask movement. As we begin to rebrand the story, as we begin to help educators, schools, administrators, district level people to know if you want to improve the attendance at your school, if you want to decrease the number of behavior incidents at your school, if you want to increase the number of students who are passing academic classes, this is the work that you need to do. And I think that what we hope is that in the past, we would think that we were pleading to the hearts of educators and administrators about what we needed to do to help their schools, but we were using the wrong metrics. It was hard for them to see how making this mask was going to improve those things. But I think that now, as we're in a new season, we are really clear that the only way to improve those things is that we first have to get to the roots of what's in the way. Students don't come to schools where they don't feel safe. Now, listen, I've had many situations at school growing up where I didn't feel safe. I still went because my mom, she'd be tripping. And I didn't even know where to go cut anyway. I'll be afraid that I would see her somewhere. So I was terrified to cut school, but that's a fear that my mom evoked in my life, that you better just be at school bored and out of your mind than to be trying to run around the streets and have her find you somewhere. And then you got questions to answer. But what I am saying is that as an administrator, as a teacher, I know students who would not show up, and you say, hey, why didn't you show up? Oh, I don't know. They don't have an answer. Like, were you sick? No. You've been gone for a week. What do you mean? What's going on? And if a student is not safe, doesn't feel safe, they can't walk to school safely, then it's probably likely that they're going to do the best they can to survive. And that's what our brains are designed to do, to keep us alive. You know, I think I told the story once before, but when my first bike got taken from me in Oakland, I didn't know how to fight. The dude said he was going to beat me down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom said, you better use your thinking cap. What were you thinking? She always loves to say that phrase. What were you thinking? I'm like, in this case, I was thinking it don't sound good to get beat up. I mean, you taught me how to cook. You taught me how to clean. You taught me how to fold clothes. I can wash the dishes. I can take care of a house. I can burp, diaper, bathe a baby, and put him to bed like that. Like, I got all those skills, but I don't know how to fight. So when that guy said, I'm gonna beat you down if you don't give me this bike, I'm like, hey, sounds like the bike is yours. I'm gonna put this thinking cap on right now. And what happens when kids are like, oh, kids are getting shot in the bathroom at our school? I think I'm not going to school anymore. And you as the adult, as you as a parent, you as a district are saying, bring your kids to school. Make sure your kids are here every day. Well, we know that ADA, the average daily attendance, is a rate that you get for students showing up. But what do you do when you got students walking to school afraid? So now, if they're forced to go to school by law because their parents don't want to get into legal trouble because their kids are not going to school, now you have kids showing up to school with all kind of weapons of mass destruction. Literally. And that is causing an overload of the worry and stress that's happening on our school campuses. And what I want you to know is that our young people, they want to be fully present. I think they're hungry for being seen and heard and understood, but we need to do a better job. And so this work, what I'm going to show you next with this data, is about that. And so we just have a preliminary data set here. So it's not fancy, but it is enough to share with you some of the things that we're seeing. And what I'm going to talk about is first the data for the young men who came to this conference. There were over 100 students. And what I want you to know is that in this space, what we learned from these young men was something very important. So we've always seen the front and back of math. So I'm going to just run through some data with you. I'm going to show you a word cloud. You will see the words that show up on the front. These funny, happy, kind. The bigger the word, the more frequent the word. So on the front of the mask, the top 5 words that showed up for this group of 100 plus young men was happy, number 1 with 35 responses, funny, 28 responses, kind/kindness, 23 responses, friendly, 14 responses, and good, I'm good, had 10 responses. So these are the things they gladly let the world see. These are the top 5 from the front. Now, I'm also going to give you the top 5 from the back because I think it will help you just to see. But there's something that we notice right away when we look at the word cloud for the back. When you look at the back of the mask, the word cloud shows, oh my goodness, there's a lot more words on the back. I mean, a lot. So as you look at this image, and if you can't see the image, I'm going to say there's the bigger words that are the big words that showed up: sadness, sad, tired, mad, angry, emotions, anger. Those are the things that show up on the word cloud that show up on the back of the mask. And what we have looked at in the early part of this is that there's a lot more words that people have used to describe how they're doing without maybe even getting down to the root of how they're doing. So there's so many words in here. The sadness may not be a word that you get used to using a lot. So you've said, I feel worried. I feel self-doubt. I feel like crying. Like there's so many words on the back. Things are hard. I feel resentful. I'm depressed. There's some small words on there, but definitely on the back, there's so many more words that are nuanced because I think our language have gotten us prepared to protect ourselves. People ask us how we're doing. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm great. But when they ask us really how we're doing, sometimes we've gotten good at just talking around how we're really doing, and we have good words for describing those things. The top 5 words on the back of the mask, and we see these numbers really interesting in interesting ways. Top 5 words. The first one, sad and sadness, with 33 responses. Angry, mad, with 14 responses. And tired, with 8 responses. And alone, with 7 responses. Actually, that's only 4. So the next one after alone is scared, with 6. So you can see there's a wide variety of words that people use. Sad and sadness, we combine them together, right? Angry and mad. And actually, I just noticed that one thing we didn't actually combine in here is anger. Actually, angry and mad are actually 14 responses. And I imagine if I add angry, if I find how many times people write angry, that probably number will go up. Tired and alone. And then scared is number 6. So now I've told you the top words on the front and the top words on the back. Now, one question that I think that will be interesting to explore, and we have some of that data here, is what are the people who are saying that they are the happiest, like on the front? Like if I'm happy, 35 responses were like, I show the world that I'm happy, funny, kind, friendly, and good. Let's start with the top one, happy. If from the people who say they're happy, 35 of those people, 14 of them, almost half, said sad and sadness behind the mask. 6 of them said anger and mad. 4 said tired, 3 said sleepy, and 3 said hurt. So as you can see, the numbers for the back have a smaller, they're smaller numbers. But connected to these people who said happy on the front, we know that we have 14 of them who are dealing with sadness behind the mask. So imagine a kid comes to school every day, got a smile on their face, and no one knows that this kid is going through something behind the mask. You know, that's part of my story. Like, my teachers never knew that I was dealing with drama at home. They never knew I was dealing with sadness and like the isolation feeling that I was dealing with. They didn't know because I was an excellent student. I had amazing grades. I was like in the top 10 always in my class, always fighting with the Wajenko twins. I'll never forget them. I was a whole other conversation, but the Wajenko twins, they're always like number 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. They were always like right back to back. And they were my academic nemesis. Amazing sisters, but I was always like secretly trying to figure out how I was going to overcome their dual minds working together with studies sessions and all that. But anyway, that's my stuff. And all these young people who we get to see, and as a teacher, when I would see students who were like amazing, not doing well academically, walking around, sometimes I have them feel like you either walk around eggshells around them, like, dude, what's going on today? What's happening? Why are you in such a mood today? I ain't no mood. One thing we got young men in my class a little upset when I would tell them, you're super emotional. What? I ain't emotional. What you talking about? I'd be like, you're angry all the time. Because they don't think anger is an emotion. So they would be like, whatever, I'm not talking to you. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. Get away from me. Get out of my face. Whatever they would say. I would mostly be joking, but I would tell them this a way of them saying, you do have emotions. You just have one channel. Now, some young men who I have met can always have what they call a grimace. But you ask them how they're doing, they say, I'm fine. And then you would have to say something either sarcastic or deepening the conversation to say, well, maybe you should tell your face that you're fine because you look like you're angry, like you're in a bad mood. Like you look like there's an energy around you that is trying to repel people away from you. And I think that what happens is because they've gotten so good at answering how you're doing, I'm fine. How you doing? I'm great. How you doing? I'm happy. Then when you ask them about what's happening behind it, they feel uncomfortable or they feel like they've never been asked and they don't know how to answer or they want to tell you, but they don't really know. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what I feel. And I tell you over and over again, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time just to sit with them and just ask some questions, be curious, learn. And I think that I've seen transformation happen in conversations that just gives young people a space to just say, I'm not here to fix you. Nothing wrong with you. I'm just here to check in with you. How are you doing? I see more to you than what I see in the roll book because you haven't done no work. You know what I'm saying? You've been here every day, but you do nothing. So I'm really trying to understand what am I missing because I see more in you. And I think young men want to see that. So I talked about the data from the front of the mask to the back of the mask. The words from the front, the ones who said happy, the top words for the happy were that's the top words correlating to the front of the mask being happy are 14 sad, 6 anger, 4 tired, 3 sleepy, 3 hurt. Okay. And I'm going to show one more and then I'm going to move to the back of the mask. I think that more of this like seeing the data, but also what we are making sense of, what we're trying to help educators see. So this next one, the second word is funny. The jokesters. The jokesters in class always goofing off, falling out of their chair, making people laugh. The funny ones. 7 of them said, so 28 people said funny. These are the numbers. 28 said funny on the front of the mask. Of those 28, 7 sad and sadness, 3 stressed, 3 scared, 3 angry, and 3 emotional. And if you go down the list, you will see actually angry shows up again. If you look at nervous, insecure. So what we see is that the students who are showing that they're funny on the outside, that's what they want people to see. I'm funny. I'm the life of the party. They also are carrying down behind that mask so many things that they don't get to talk about as much. sadness, stress, fear, anger, and emotions. And so they get good at just keeping everybody else happy, keep everybody else laughing. It may make me feel a little bit better. I feel like I can help them. And maybe it helps me a little bit too, knowing that I made somebody else's day a little bit better. I think we heard that on one of the cards I read to you. I like to make other people feel like they're having a good time. I want to make people have a good day. I like to make people laugh. Those are the qualities we see in our students. And so students who come to class every day, they're just goofing off all the time. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, they're funny. They're comedians. They want to, hey, do your work. If you want to make jokes, but do your work. Pick up your pen and do the work. If you can't talk and write, only write. How about that? But those are the conversations we have to have with students about, hey, what's happening here? I see you got a lot of social skills. Can we get some socialization with that paper and that pen so you can pass this class? Because I'd rather not be socializing with you next year in this class. And like, as you can tell, I'm a little sarcastic sometimes. I'll try and be funny. I try and keep it light and funny. Definitely not out of a harmful way, but all of the way of like saying, dude, I see you and I see that you're sabotaging your future self. And what we need to help our schools do and help teachers do is have better connection and relationship with students. Before I was even doing the masks, as a first year teacher in 2004, I saw smart young people failing classes. The Ever Forward Club started because I was seeing something that didn't make sense for what I understood and what I knew and what I felt and what my intuition told me. And so maybe you out here who's listening to this, if you're an educator, if you are an administrator, if you are a parent, if you are a coach, we have to get better at listening to our young people. Our young people are struggling. And they're struggling for lots of different reasons. Like, I think sometimes adults forget what it was like to be a teenager. So we blame young people for not caring enough about their future or not having all this access to all these resources, these phones and devices and AI and chatbots and all these things that we didn't have. I mean, I think of the last time you went to a library. Now, I go to libraries just to kind of do some work and just be around the books. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't go to libraries regularly, when was the last time you went? And how often are our kids there, right at their fingertips? They have access to the libraries, plural, periodicals, magazines, newspapers, all from all over the world. And sometimes we can blame them for having access to so much. But what we see over and over again, that they're lonelier than ever. They're isolated more than ever. They've created a world for themselves inside these devices that sometimes makes them think that no one really even cares about them, because they know when they're in that world, they're an avatar, they're a name, they're J2447, and no one really knows them. They have to pretend who they are over here because they don't want to give out their real information over there. They got 14 different screen names and 3 different apps. Like, they're all over the place, like trying to remember, who am I over here? Who am I over here? Oh, I can't post that. They don't know I like art over here, so I can't post. Like, how many times they're crafting their social media to match the energy of others. I had a young man give me his page the other day. He had like 3 pictures. I'm like, hey, I think you gave me the wrong thing. He's like, no, that's it. I'm like, there's only 3 pictures on here. He's like, yeah, that's all I got on there. I was like, I thought you showed me a couple of weeks ago your page and it was like all kind of, he said, oh, I had to get rid of those. I looked way too young. You what? You looked too young? Okay, all right. Well, maybe that happens in many parts of our life. We we hold those pictures off for later. We want to look older at some season, and then in some season we want to look younger. And so we look at our profile photos and we're like, "Is that you?" Like, I know that a couple of my profile photos, I have not one gray hair on them, and I sometimes look at them and I'm like, "You capping, Ashanti Branch? You capping? You do not look like that." That's your younger self, dear younger me. Hey, can we keep this look for a while longer? Look, I'm clear that there are way more. In the documentary The Mask You Live In 10 years ago, I had not one. Maybe one right here. I called him Jaime right there. That one little gray popped out. I would pluck it. Pluck it. And now you can't pluck all this. So this is what it is. So I'm clear that I have a photo from that 10 years ago that I reminisce sometimes of what it was. But ultimately, I'm clear that I tell these young people, listen, This is not, is this your real page? Like, you sending me to some place you're not even going to check? No, I check it. Oh, you're just checking things out. You're not even you're not a creator of content. You're just there taking in stuff. And what I realized that they are in a different world. And ultimately, if we can provide them more spaces to connect, which is what we create the Brotherhood for. And we know that in our Brotherhood community on school, we have about 70 young men in there. It takes a lot of work to get them engaged in there. Why? Because most of them are content consumers. They're not content creators. And so they're waiting for people to give them stuff so they can be entertained by it. And they're not yet, all of them, definitely there's some of them out there who are creating content, but many of them are just consuming. With their thumbs, they're just consuming. You know what the consuming looks like? And many of them are not creating. And so we are now in a new season. I'm glad we got to have this episode just so I can have a conversation with you about this data, about these numbers, about these words. And when I use the word data, sometimes people get real freaked out and like, scared, what are you doing with the data? These are just words. You can go on any post on social media and see what young people are saying when they're having a real conversation or when they're just performing. You may not know, because guess what? There's a lot of content out there where people are performing as if they're being real. Like, I got a video this morning. Let me just name this as a context. Maybe I'll show you this video. There was a lady in a store. There was a kid down one of the aisles in the store, and he was stuffing stuff in a backpack. And then she was like, oh man, what is this kid over here doing? She was like recording him around the corner. What is this kid over here doing? Is he stealing stuff? Man, I can't let this get, he's gonna get himself arrested. And so she comes up to him. You got the camera in her hand. Hey kid, hey, what's happening? What is happening here? He's like, oh man, I gotta go to homecoming dance. I ain't got no money. My mom is having problems. My dad is in jail. Like, and he told her a really compelling story. And she was like, look, you're gonna make it worse for yourself. And it was a beautiful, heartfelt message. And I think that sometimes it's like, if you are in your mind trying to like see a situation that you're recognizing as a real potential situation, and then you don't even know whether it's real or not, you could easily be in a place where you're like, wait, is this real? Is this a real situation where a kid is doing this? Or, I mean, I can imagine it being a real situation, but is it a real situation? And with the world that we live in today, there are so many skeptics. I remember writing to a message to a friend. I was like, I don't want to feel like a skeptic. But sometimes your intuition will wake you up to things and you say, that's a little, and who knows? Who knows if it's real or not? And does it matter if the message is clear? Maybe it doesn't matter. But how often are we trying to find the connections of people who are actually talking about real stuff, that are sharing real things, that are doing things out of the kindness of their heart and not just a message? And so overall, what I'm hoping that this conversation will do for you is first invite you to go make a mask. unMASK.org. Anonymously, you can create a mask. Hopefully you ask somebody in your life to also go and make their own mask. This is for those that are not educators or not coaches, teachers, administrators. If you're an administrator, if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, I invite you to use this as a homework assignment, a warm-up, something with your students. There are tools online that we can share with you. We have a digital tool, unMASK.org. You can have an educator portal, which will provide you data right away. That data is the words. It's just the numbers of how many words you got from that group. It's a powerful tool for you to be able to say, oh, wow, there are students here who are going through some real stuff. Intellectually, we know that, but we can get locked in because we have a job to do. We got to get through the curriculum. And we sometimes miss the individuals that are showing up at our schools looking for a connection, looking for a better way, looking for a brighter day. As we look forward to what the unMASK movement is doing in 2026, we are excited that you are part of this journey with us. We are reaching more educators now. We are going to be bringing some youth voice into this season in 2026. I think it's time for you to hear from some young men. We've been talking to a lot of male educators, and it's time for us to hear from some of our male students. We haven't figured it all out yet, but guess what? We're a work in progress. We're constantly pivoting to the things that we are hearing from you that you want, and we're hearing from the community that they need. I went to the school board meeting in Oakland last week, and I spoke. That you can see that video online somewhere on our social media channels. And it was my first time speaking there in a while. And I find myself getting nervous. I get nervous when things are really important to me. I get nervous sometimes when I'm in a space where I have to be in a constant battle within who am I showing up as. So when I step up in front of these places, I'm trying to find a dance between being this presence in my big old body that I was given, I've earned, I've worked hard to probably this body that I live in. What I'm clear about is I stood there and I was like, I don't want to get written off. I don't want to make them too mad. I want to make them think. I want to make them know that I'm here. But maybe this is an introduction. Hello, my name is Ashanti Branch. I'm from Oakland, California, born and raised. This is my city. I was educated here. And I'm very disappointed with what I see happening. And I was in a moment of just be careful. Don't use any profanity. Don't get too loud. Don't hit the podium too much. I think I hit the podium once when I told them, did you hear what the students said here? The students from Skyline High School who said you all didn't show up for them. I felt my voice rising. I was like, calm down, trying to come back down. And I remember hitting the podium because the energy was in there. I didn't hit it, I didn't punch it. I just hit it like this. But I did hit it at some point. Maybe in my mind, I hit it louder than I actually think I hit it. I'll have to watch the video and see. But I think what I'm clear about is that I can no longer stay silent with not only what's happening in my own city, but what's happening in education. And so in 2026, we are going to be putting the word out to the world of those schools and districts who say not only talk the talk, but want to walk the walk. Do you want to make change in your schools? Do you want to make change with how students are showing up, but attendance, behavior, and core class success? That's the ABCs of education, according to Johns Hopkins. Attendance, behavior, and core class success. So that's what we're going to be on. That's the mission we're going to be on, helping schools who want to do the work. And for the schools who don't do anything visibly, noticeably, we are going to be rallying parents to ensure that it happens. We are going to be a calling card to parents around districts who care about their kids. Now, listen, as a former educator, former teacher, former administrator, and as a human who grew up in the city of Oakland, I've seen parents who don't act like they care about their kids. I mean, we're going to just keep it real. So I'm not here to try and get anybody to do something they don't really already want to do. That's not true. Actually, that's not true. Yeah, I used to say that to my students all the time. I don't really care whether you like math. Well, I kind of do. I think the deeper point is I want you to know you can do math. So for those parents who are hitting the wall, those parents who are feeling stuck, the parents who don't know what to do next, maybe it's our time and my time to give them some tips and tools of how we improve this system. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it. If you listen to this episode this far, thank you. I am looking forward to the next chapter of this journey with you. I'm looking forward to what you can do, what we can do, how we can support you. If you're already one of the advocates for young men, stay connected to that community. If you're not, get connected. If you're not following this podcast, if you haven't shared this with an educator, all of your sons, if you're a parent of a son, if you are a parent of a child in any school, share this episode with them. Share not only what's happening with young men around the Bay Area, but what's happening with young men around the world. And we need to have a healthier conversation with the young men around these topics. If you're a parent, don't stay silent. Don't stay silent. We want to support you to serve your child in the best way possible, and all the nuances of the districts. And your districts are going to be different than my district. So I may not be able to help you right away with what your district is doing, but I can hopefully point you in the right direction. And that's what we're going to do in this season. And we look forward to 2026, where we get to come and have even more conversations, not only with male educators, but with students around the country and around the world. Thank you very much for being a part of the journey with us. We'll see you real soon.